Does anyone copy? Leader 6, do you have Pathfinder?
I'm gonna make a move. The people are gonna fall, not you.
The interesting thing about coming in onto this movie is it was the first time that I'd had nobody of my original crew that was going to work with me on this one. The very first hire that I made was my second unit director, and there was only one name ever to be my second unit director, and it was Vic Armstrong.
Rick War, the director, is an old friend of mine. Not that he's old, he was very young when I knew him. But I've known him many years, 25 to 30 years. I knew his father, I know his brother.
Had not worked together for a number of years, and is a director in his own right as well. And I never wanted to have the movie be where the second unit shot the action and the first unit, my unit, would just bring the actors through it.
First and second unit have to really work very closely together, because some cuts you'll cut directly from a sequence that the first unit have shot, and then you'll have a piece of my sequence, and then you'll literally seamlessly, hopefully, go into the first unit again. What I always say as action unit director or stunt director, you have to be like a counterfeiter.
So the first conversation Vic Armstrong and I had was knowing the body of work that he was going to be covering as a second unit director, and working in conjunction with my unit and trying to figure out exactly how we were going to put this jigsaw puzzle together with all the action sequences to, one, always put the audience within the action so that they felt like they were participating in the action, as well as watching the characters be inside the action so they were emotionally hooked to the action as well.
So Rick has got that set of eyes for that, but he's also got a great storytelling, and he's not into just having explosions for the sake of explosions. Everyone that goes off has a motivation for it.
So then he comes in, boom, there. That's where I'm going to start. Jerry putting the thing down and following up position, you went onto your right now. Yeah. Which is basically what you were tonight. Yeah. So that's where I'm going to start the shot, and then you dig into the leaves, getting your claymores out and all that stuff, and then we'll start the dialogue there.
With Rick, he always wants to put you right in the middle of it. There's not a single thing that happens where he's like, you're not in this shot. Are you kidding me? And it's like that in everything, and it's incredible how that sucks an audience, and it sucks me in as well. Fuck him!
So when Clay is blown up a forest, you see Clay blowing up the forest, and you're in the fire sequence yourself.
Action!
Old bull, young bull.
Oh, look at old young bull.
When you're in the middle of a lake attack, this assassination attempt with Mike Banning and with Alan Trumbull, you see Morgan Freeman in the middle of that attack and having to be thrown into the water and diving under and being blown up.
Well, gee, have to fall off of a boat into ostensibly cold water. Have to do a lot of running and ducking, machine gun bullets and stuff.
They're in these situations, and so knowing the task at hand, we knew we had to have a stunt coordinator that would basically oversee both units, and then delegate responsibilities out from there. That Vic was never going to be able to, far more than capable, obviously, being a stunt coordinator, but that he needed to focus on the directorial duties on the second unit. So we had both talked about Greg Powell.
We've always had great stunt teams before, but you know when you've just gone up a peg or two.
Greg, again, has grown up in the business. I've known him his whole life. I've been in it 52 years, 53 years, since, as a young stuntman.
And we worked together a lot years ago as stuntmen, but it's the first time I've worked with Vic after all these years as a second unit director.
We understood, and Rick insisted on it too, that we needed the very best of the best because of what we were doing, because we were not going to be relying on, huge VFXs to bring down Tower Bridge or any of these, or the White House, or any of these kind of iconic places. We knew that we needed the best second unit and stunt team we could put together, and almost for lack of a better word, Vic Armstrong and Greg were there, and they were our choice.
Greg comes from one of the legendary families in England, and of course my family comes from the stunt world as well, and there is this kind of interesting feeling you get when you meet the other families, you know, this little kind of close relationship, even though we had not met each other before. And Greg Powell was everything I expected. Just an amazing human being that wanted to do it right.
Which is a great attribute, because we don't try and BS each other. We just, I want to see this and I want to see that. Well, and he'll say, well, Vic, I can't do this because, you know, I can't find a stuntman that can do that, or everything can be discussed, and there's nothing hidden under the table. It's all out in the open.
We had worked with them before, and as soon as their names came up, there wasn't one person who said, oh, well, but maybe everybody said, we have to get these guys. These guys are going to make the action that we are going for amazing, dynamic, gritty, and real.
With the choreography, the ideas, how it's being shot, and just the way the stuntmen work, and there's just, you're not having to go in and go, this all sucks, or we really need to do a lot of work. You're more watching this going, okay, this is great. I love that you guys thought this up, you know?
He's got his own thing on it, the whole role all the way through, you know, and he loves the action, he loves getting involved in it. He talks a lot about it, you know, because he's very conscious of the action in the films that he does.
Like, it's so much easier rather than trying to do it like this.
Whatever's comfortable. Whatever you're comfortable at.
And that's hiding that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's great for someone like me or Vic or anyone that the input that you get from him is really good, so you know what he's looking for in the scene that we're doing.
But really kind of pulling you into that action, and the way he does it, it just all adds to that grittiness and that intimacy that you have, I think, with Mike in this movie.
But it's always the director's take, you know, when you sit down and talk with him, and you visit the locations and what he sees in the locations, and everyone, you know, me, Vic, and Rick, and some of the stunt guys, we talk about stuff and what we can actually do. We can make sure we give Rick what he wants, and maybe we might to add to that as well, you know.
And you look over your shoulder! Look over your shoulder!
But he understood the way that we were going to execute the action between the two units and make it one cohesive thing, where both were going to share a tremendous amount of the action and not have one only shooting the action, which is far easier, because then that director can control all of that, and then usually the first unit director is just bringing the actors through and, you know, and just getting their coverage.
He knows what we're going through, so he's a lot of help to us, you know. He's just not like a director who comes in and does a film who's never done action before. He's actually done action before, so it's great for me and even for Vic to get his vision on it, because we all sort of talk the same language, you know.
3, 2, 1, bang. That timing never changes, and everybody can make it to their marks. Yep.
What it does help you do is understand the frailties and the things that can go wrong. Everybody can have inspiration and ideas and requests, but it's been able to look at what their request is, what your own request is, and realize what the problems could be with it, and attacking those problems earlier on and circumnavigating them and getting them out of the way. So it certainly helps with his background.
But again, because we really wanted to have this combined feel to everything and to see my vision through, it became the perfect trifecta, because we knew we had the stunt coordinator that is experienced as Greg Powell, and then you had a second unit director that's, well, let's face it, he's been Indiana Jones, he's been in the Star Wars, all the Bond franchise. I mean, you're talking about veteran people here that really know how to put it on the screen.